So Dallas played Indiana yesterday, and it's safe to say their coach did not look happy. She did not look happy in the slightest, and I can kind of guess why. But for a lot of people, that was again a meaningless game. Did not seem like it for Dallas. Dallas went out harder than they have. Enrique had the best shooting game of her season. They went out to win this game. Straight up, they went out to win this game. If you guys agree that it was a seriously good game, subscribe. We're trying to hit 35.6K or 35.5K by the end of the day, and we are only 56 subscribers off. But you also have to take into account that while yes, it was a good game, they did lose. They lost the season series against Indiana. And this is the reaction again. Yeah. This is a reaction from a coach who knows she's fired. Like she's almost crying at the end of the game. Like that's not fun. She's trying to hold back the tears, which is, I think she knows she's done. She's a pretty good coach. Her team building lots of good pieces, and they were decent last year. It's not her fault. The front office effed up this season. The front office is the problem. Yeah. Like, that's the reality of it is. Like, she's someone who has coached, mostly being an assistant. She coached in college, and a lot more coaching experience than Christy Sides anyway. And it was her first head coaching job. She was the Sparks assistant with Derek Fisher for a while. She was the San Antonio Stars. Was basically fired when they moved to Vegas. And her first season last year, they did win 22 games. 22 wins being second in the West is wild. But they won 22 games last year. So, it's not like she had a bad first year as a head coach. The problem is that, it just does look like it's done. Any coach who's just been beaten by 1 point by one of the best players in the league is not at the moment worried about getting fired. I think she was probably gone before this game. The reality of this is she's probably gone before this game. The female Ted Lasso. Somehow the Sparks coach isn't fired. Kurt Miller has enough success in the bank. That's the problem. Hope they allowed a couple of good seasons. If it was up to some fan bases, every coach in the league would be fired. You're not wrong. They lost that game by 1 point. They lost it by 1. At the end of the day, it was a double technical foul when Tiara McCowan got kicked out. But still, so many little things in that game. And this was obviously after the technical foul and the ejection for McCowan. And it's just It's just a tough one. For everybody saying, if Paige Bueckers can't play with Dallas. Why? They play the best offense in the W. Not name other than, I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says. If Paige Bueckers gets to play with Enrique at the 2, she gets to play at the 1. She has Enrique at the 2. At the 3, she's got Satu. At the 4, maybe Natasha Howard. At the 5, she's two-headed monster of McCowan and Kalani Brown, who are both 6'7", and they might be bigger than 6'7". Valia Boston 6'5", McCowan 6'9". But they got the they got the twin towers as their centers. Then you've got a bench. You've got J.C. Sheldon on the bench. You've got Uzan on the bench. I don't know who else to try bring in. You obviously probably don't. You cut Lou. I would like Paige to be in Dallas. Dallas have got a better chance of being. If you're looking for what team you want Paige to be on for individual success, short term Sparks, or long term maybe the Sparks. Short term, I like her on the Mystics. I really like her on the Mystics, but I don't mind her on the wings either. I think on the wings she'd be a pretty good player. I don't think there's a bad team in the playoffs. The one team that I really wouldn't want Paige Bueckers to go to is the Sky. Just because of the way they play basketball. She wouldn't get that very many touches of the ball, and they've already got a ball dominant Kennedy Carter. You gotta get Camila Cardoso their touches, and they're gonna still give Angel Reese her touches when the reality is she should be living off offensive boards rather than any of the other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of it looks like a bit of a sad one. But in fairness, I don't think she's a bad coach. I just think she can't really coach defense, and her team's not quite as good offensively as a Fever. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's the reality of it. That her team scored 109 points. And, like, they have lost more than one game after scoring 100 this year. But, like, the Wings, without question, make the playoffs if it's not for the injuries. Like, there's no way in hell that they don't win enough games to start the season if Satu's there. And then if Natasha Howard is there. Especially when they managed to get Odyssey Sims in there. In the team. Like, if you're looking at the Wings schedule. Like, they were expected to be pretty good. They were expected to be pretty good this year. Like, they beat the Sky first game of the season. They lost to the Sky second game. Like, they beat the Sky. And this is, again, with Marina Mabry playing. Because Natasha Howard was there. And Natasha Howard played that first game. And they went and beat the Sky. Maddie Siegrist was playing well when Satu wasn't there. She was averaging nearly 15 a game up to a point. And yeah, like, it was just, they picked up some injuries. Like, they started off the season 3-2. Arike had a 40-point game, I think, against Mercury. Arike had a 7 of 30 game against the Sparks. But, like, and then they lost to the Sun by 2 here. And then it just was free fall. It was just a free fall. Like, you can see, they had many billings at the start of the year, but when they lost Natasha Howard after this game, it just kind of went into free fall. Which is unfortunate. But this is a team that, without question, makes the playoffs with Satu healthy for the season. And I think you add Paige Bueckers to this team, they could be really, really good. But I don't think it's a coaching issue. The way that this team scores, there is no way in hell that this is a coaching issue. Like, they'll figure it out on defense. And they're going to outscore most teams next season, especially because they're probably going to core. They're going to probably core Satu. Heck, even if you want to keep JC Sheldon in the starting lineup, I think she's much better at the 3 than at the 1. You can run with starting lineup, even if you lose Natasha Howard. You can run with Satu, Howard, Arike, McCowan, Paige, and then you go and get yourself a Satu with the 4, and you go and get yourself a near max contract free agent. That's a decent looking team, but yeah, I know she's always emotional in games, but like this looks a bit more emotional than normal. This one does look a bit more emotional, and this was a heartbreaking loss. And you just never know, but yeah, this is not the greatest. Well, it looks like something's not 100% there.